My new client, Lori, could see into the future like almost no one I'd ever met. And because of it, she'd already accomplished some great things. So why was it that after about a month of working with her, when her team members had started to get to know me, that one at a time, they started showing up and telling me, I'm planning to leave the team as soon as I can? Well, Lori was making the same mistake that you and I make, which was that she didn't understand what made her exceptional. So she was using her superpowers just totally unconsciously and causing all sorts of unintended problems, like creating a ton of unnecessary work and crushing the souls of her team members. So how aware are you of what makes you exceptional? If you're not super clear, then we've got some work to do today. Hi, it's David with another entry into the leadership library for you. You can see into the future and you know it looks bright, and you're willing to do the work to bring it to life. So the ideas and tools in this library will help you have the success that you know is possible. And today, we're going straight to the whiteboard. As we jump into the whiteboard, let's just acknowledge that there's a little bit of Lori in all of us. Now, our version may not look like hers, but there are things that you do that make you exceptional. I call that living in the tail of the bell curve. They're the skills that you have that no one can touch. And in the last video, you can link to it here, I talked about how if you don't know what those are, you will be leaving your best talent on the table every single day. And with no effort, just by identifying what they are and beginning to access them, you're going to become more successful and have a greater impact. Watch the video. You'll learn more. It actually tells you how to start to apply it. But also, if you're not aware, something else happens, which is that you will over-rely unconsciously on them, and they will take you into the opposite tail of the bell curve, into what I call the uh-oh area, where you will be causing accidental destruction and crushing the souls of people that you work with without even realizing it. In this video, I'll show you why, if you don't understand how to access this, you will probably end up here. And to remind you how to bring your very best to the world every day and to inspire the people around you. Let me show you what I mean. So let's make this real with a few real people. First, Lori. Now, Lori was exceptional at her sense of future vision. She could see things that no one else could see. She had 10 ideas before breakfast that were great before most people had even awakened. So that was a great thing, but she wasn't aware that it was an exceptional. She just knew it was fun and it came easily. So, she would just think everybody could do this, and she was doing what she could. But because she wasn't aware that it was her superpower, what it was doing to her team was she was just saying yes to everything. And so their experience was every day was a new urgency. And when that happened, they began to get confused and overwhelmed and disengaged and feeling really unappreciated because last week's big idea didn't go off the list. This week's new idea just got added to the list. I'm sure you've worked with a Lori before. Maybe you've been one yourself. But all she was doing was she was over-applying because she didn't know what a great skill it was, this skill, at the wrong time, because this isn't the right skill to use all the time, and it became her Achilles heel, her uh-oh space in the other tail of the bell curve. But just so you don't get all judgy in case this isn't your habit, let me give you another example. Maybe you can relate to Keith. Keith owned process. Talk about a superpower. He could build and maintain processes that were so powerful. He was great at squeezing out efficiencies from things that everybody else thought was, no, we've maxed out. He was great at finding and eliminating arbitrary variance that really could cause problems as they tried to scale things. So he was exceptional. He just didn't realize it was a superpower, and so he just kept it on all the time. It's always a good thing. And when he did that, he devolved as a leader into the person that became known as he'll refuse to change about anything. You got to do it his way. And so people began to think of him as the Luddite, the small-minded person, the stick in the mud, who would fight for saving one tree and lose the entire forest. And that obviously did not help his teams. In fact, the morale started to drop, innovation was starting to die, and nobody really wanted to work with him. And that was all because he wasn't aware of his exceptional skills, and then he over-applied it. He turned it on all the time, and he became the person known as the one who refused to change. So if Lori and Keith still don't connect to you, don't judge. Here's one more example of a good thing gone wrong. Maybe you're more like Carl. Carl has an amazing analytical mind. He wasn't aware of it, but he could solve problems that most people didn't even know how to approach using data. And it's like a superpower. It truly is a superpower of his that he wasn't aware of. And because he wasn't aware of it, he applied it all the time. And he became the person who had zero appreciation in those moments for what I call the critical intangibles. The fact that morale and engagement actually has as much to do with leadership as numbers and data. And if it was something that couldn't be measured, he would just look right past it. Not only with his people, where the morale was dropping, but also with customers. He assumed that if the data said something, he or the team knew more about the customer than the customer did, and there was therefore no need to actually listen and interact with the customer. Again, too much of a good thing, unconsciously applied because he didn't realize it was his superpower. And once he did, he was able to understand the impact of it and then know when to apply it and maybe when it wasn't appropriate. You may still be surprised that you have exceptional skills that place you in the tail of the bell curve, that you can do things that no one else can touch and that people are amazed at. That's part of the problem. If it's still a surprise for you, it's much more likely that that superpower is going to be overused and take you to the uh-oh tail of the bell curve. So if you're still not clear about what yours are, please watch this video. It gives you some ideas on how to determine and get help to understand what your superpowers are. Because then from there, things can really begin to change. Once you know what your tail of the bell curve skills are, you can begin to choose, is now the best time to put it to use, or would another approach be better right now? And then you'll use your power for good and not for accidental destruction. You are amazing, seriously, especially in those areas where you live in the tail of the bell curve. It's like you can walk through walls or you have x-ray vision. And until you're aware, your superpowers can cause as much unnecessary destruction as they can do good. So how aware are you of yours? I can't wait to hear what this video brings up for you. Let me know. I'll see you in the next video.